Hello everyone, so today I thought that I would rank Mariah Carey's albums. Before I get into that, I do have a couple of disclaimers. If you want to skip right over this and get into the video, I'll have a timestamp down below in the description. I'm also going to timestamp the whole video, so if you want to skip around and see where I place certain albums, you can do that as well. And now let's get into it. Number one, this is my opinion. If you disagree with me, that is fine. I'd like to hear your takes down below. It was really, really hard for me to do this video. Definitely one of my more challenging album rankings yet, so I'd really like to hear your takes down below. I decided not to include her Christmas albums or the rarities just because when I saw people ranking her albums, a lot of people didn't include those, but at the end, I will include them in an alternate ranking just for fun. I'm going to be reading off my phone. If you see me looking over, that's why. And lastly, I can't talk about every song I love or every song I don't like. It would just take too much time for me. And now let's get into it. At number 13, I have Glitter. So I'm just not a fan of this as a body of work. It just doesn't really stick with me. I was really hoping that I enjoyed it more the second time because for literally every other album she has, I did enjoy it more the second time. But for this one, it just didn't really do anything for me personally. My favorites on here are going to be Lead the Way, Never Too Far, and Loverboy. At number 12, we have E equals MC squared. So for me, this album is really a mixed bag. It definitely feels like there's some filler on here. Every great track, I think, is put next to one that is just simply mediocre. My favorites on here are going to be Touch My Body, I'll Be Loving You a Long Time, and Bye Bye. Number 11, we have Charm Bracelet. So I remember when I listened to this first time, I really disliked this album. I barely even liked any of the songs on it, but I came back to it and it really grew on me. And I think that there's just some weak points on here, like Boy, I Need You. I don't really like You Got Me. Also, I don't really like Bringing on the Heartbreak. I think Bringing on the Heartbreak could probably grow on me. The other two, I just don't like those songs. And Sunflowers for Alfred Roy is such a beautiful song. It's actually about her dad, and she said it represents his side of the family, and it's kind of hard to talk about, but absolutely beautiful. Really love that song. And I just love how personal this album is. And there's some songs in here that I really, really love, and probably some of my favorite Mariah songs. So my favorites on here are going to be Through the Rain, Clown. I live for the shade that she was throwing on here. We love to see it. And lastly, Subtle Invitation. The instrumentation on here is simply outstanding. Just the groove that this track has, I really like it. And I can definitely see Charm Bracelet growing on me the more that I listen to it. And I can see why people put it higher now. Because my first listen, I didn't really necessarily get that. But the more I listen to it, the more that I like it. At number 10, we have Memoirs of an Imperfect Angel. So this album is giving me very being in a room at a party or going through a car wash vibes, and I absolutely love it. This album grew on me a lot as well. And usually when I listen to it, it goes by pretty quick. By the time I get to the end, I'm like, wow, I just listened to the album. And I love whenever albums do that. And it's just great in that regard. And I think she's having a bunch of fun here, and that makes so much difference. I just really enjoy myself listening to this album. So my favorites on here are going to be Obsessed, About My Face. I really like whenever she says, if we were two Lego blocks, even the Harvard University graduating class of 2010 can put us back together again. That just made me laugh. And lastly, Hate You. We have Me, I Am Mariah, The Elusive Chanteuse. So this blew me away on the first listen. I just wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was, and I was pleasantly surprised by this album. I really enjoy the album sonically. I think it is overproduced at parts, like the whistles. It definitely sounds like they put autotune or whatever it is that they put on those, but it definitely sound overproduced at parts. And you know, there are some songs I don't like on here. I didn't really like Thirsty. I didn't like the song that she did with Fabulous. I just wasn't really a fan of those particularly. But my favorites on here are going to be You Don't Know What to Do featuring Wale. I really like Camouflage. It's very vulnerable. You can feel her pain. And I also like One More Try. She's just really giving us a great vocal performance on this song. At number 8, I have The Emancipation of Mimi. So I think that the deluxe version of this cover outsold, and I'm actually going to put that on the screen here, but I still really like the standard album cover. And I think that It's Like That is the perfect tone setter for the start of this album. The features are where it falls off for me. The only feature that I like on this album is the one where she did with Twista, One and Only. The rest of them, I just feel like they were underwritten. I feel like they didn't add anything. I feel like they could have been left off the album. That's just me. And I feel like I put it here, even though I don't like the features, just because it has more replay value for me than the other albums. I can definitely see myself returning to this album more than the other ones. And whenever this album shines, it really shines. So that's why I put it here personally. And I think that this album was definitely a solid comeback. The Grammys performance of We Belong Together and Fly Like a Bird is incredible. If you have not seen that, definitely check it out. I'll have it linked down below in the description, as well as the other things that I reference in this video. But yeah, absolutely love this album. And so my favorites on here are going to be We Belong Together, Shake It Off, and Fly Like a Bird. Honorable mention to Circles, that song slaps. And now we are at number 7, which is going to be Music Box. The album cover for this is terrible. Definitely her worst album cover, in my opinion. I might actually do a video in the future where I rank her album covers, but definitely her worst. The South Korea version outsold, and I'll also put down the screen as well so you guys can kind of see the difference. But yeah, terrible album cover. And I think the first half of this is definitely better than the second half. Sometimes I listen to this album, I'm just like, when is it going to be over? But this album is still great vocally, and even though there's some songs that I'm not as big a fan of, they're still good. So that's why I put the album here. And this is just the album from the 90s that I like least from her. I forgot this album existed. Like every time I was thinking about her discography, I constantly forgot, and I constantly had to like make an effort to remind myself about this album. And it just doesn't stand out for me in her discography. It's still good, but that's just my take on it and how I'm feeling about it. And so my favorites on here are going to be Dream Lover, Anytime You Need a Friend, and Now Then You Know. An honorable mention to Hero. I really love the message of that song. Great performance from her. And next is going to be Caution. This album feels very purposeful. I love how it's so short and concise. It just feels very, very fresh. And I love whenever an album gives me that kind of feeling. And I feel like this album is also very peaceful. I could, drive around listening to this album, in an early morning, and I could really enjoy myself in that. Again, regarding the album cover, I think that it's fantastic. I think that they really captured, what this album is. They captured the image, and I like a great album cover. I don't like the song with Gunna. It just doesn't go anywhere for me. I feel like that song could have completely been left off of the album. And my favorites on here are going to be GTFO, 8th Grade, and Portrait. Top 5. Number 5, we have Emotions. Can't Let Go is stunning. I hate the album cover on this one again. Love the piano on You're So Cold and just, the entire vibe of that track. Favorites on here are going to be Emotions, incredible vocal performance. Make It Happen. The Madison Square version of this song is even better than the album. It's so, so good. Highly recommend you guys check that out if you haven't already. And I am also going to say If It's Over. If It's Over, oh my gosh, that just amazing performance. And honorable mention to Be Around You. Really enjoy that song and how it makes me feel. Top 4. At number 4, we have Rainbow. So I'm really tired of the disrespect that this album gets. A lot of people put this low in their rankings, and not everyone can have taste. Not everyone can have taste. This album is just so much fun. That's what brings me back to this album. The album cover, one of my favorite album covers from her, it just reminds me of the beach. It reminds me of youth. It just has a special place in my heart. I love this album so much. The song How Much featuring Usher, I'm not the biggest fan of that. It has grown on me since my last listen. I will say that that's probably my least favorite track on the album. And now onto my favorites, which are going to be Heartbreaker featuring Jay-Z. I do like the other version too. I just like the version with Jay-Z. I just feel like it's better in my opinion. Can't take that away, Mariah's theme. And Petals. Now, top 3. Number 3, we have her debut album called Mariah Carey. So this is definitely one of the strongest debut albums I have ever heard. I'm loving the album cover. There's just something so enchanting about it, something so cool about it. Absolutely adore it. And I feel like the songwriting here can be kind of corny at times, such as the song There's Got to Be a Way, but I still think that this album is just excellent. It's just so strong from track to track to track. That's what it had to be in top 3. And it definitely sounds like the 90s, the production at some points, but I actually don't really mind it. Favorites on this album are going to be Vanishing, Someday, and Vision of Love. And speaking of Vanishing, you guys should definitely check out the SNL rehearsal video. Absolutely love that. She just sounds impeccable vocally, and I'll leave that down below in the description for you guys. And now we are on to top 2. So at number 2, I have Daydream. So I think Fantasy is a perfect opener. I really love the little ending bit of the song and the music video. She just really captured, how that song makes everybody feel. Absolutely adore it. I Am Free is an incredible vocal performance. It's very dreamlike, reminds me of cartoons. I'm just loving the vibe it gives me. And this album is just consistent. We have banger after banger after banger. We have One Sweet Day. We have Underneath the Stars. We have Melt Away. We have so many great tracks on this. So it just had to be on here. It's just so strong. And I'm not a big fan of the album cover once again. When I Saw You, I feel like that track is kind of meh. I feel like it could have been left off the album. And so now on to my favorites. Underneath the Stars, I love how this song makes me feel. One of my favorite Mariah songs ever that I've heard. And actually, I was reading about this, and it said it features a 70s soul vibe as well as synthetic record scratches in order to be given the authentic 70s sound. And next, Forever. I love the key changes. I love everything about that song. And lastly, it's going to be Looking In. So this song was actually written in 15 minutes. She said that she wrote it herself. And I really like whenever she said, "It seems as though I've always been somebody outside looking in. Well, here I am for all of them to bleed. But they can't take my heart away from me, and they can't bring me to my knees. They'll never know the real me." That is just bone chilling. And she actually wrote a lot of her songs herself. And I'm going to leave a video down below in the description that I watched, and it's just songs that she wrote entirely by herself, a whole video on that, which I thought was really interesting. But definitely a great closer, definitely really insightful. And now we're on to my favorite album, which is going to be Butterfly. So this is easily her best album cover, in my opinion. I just really love the colorway that she went with this album. And yeah, I think this album flows excellently, and I think the reason why I have it here also partially is because of the artistry in this album. She split up from Tommy Mottola while she was recording this album, and because of that she was able to have more control of how she wanted the album to sound and of her image. And she was just talking about in an interview that I watched about how important the Honey music video was to her, because she could finally do what she wanted. And yeah, so I just really appreciate her artistry on this album. I don't like the Beautiful Ones. This is a Prince cover. If you're listening to the album, I feel like it works fine in the context of that, but I wouldn't go and listen to the song outside of the album. That's just my opinion on there. My favorites on here are going to be The Roof, Back in Time, Butterfly, and Outside. As a biracial person, Outside really hit deep for me, and it's just nice to have how I feel kind of like quantified like in a song. I really, really love that song, and just the effort that she put in there is just immaculate. And I really recommend her Genius interview that she did. She talks about, you know, her albums and, you know, thought processes and stuff, and I just found it really, really interesting. I'll have it linked down below in the description, and I'm really excited to read her book and learn more about her. I have her book and I'm going to read it. I've just been so focused on her discography, but I will be reading that. And one thing that I really wanted to bring up is that I actually do have a butterfly tattoo that I wanted to show you guys real quick. I actually got this last year in like February, and I just had a dream of me getting it. It didn't have any meaning, and now that she has an album called Butterfly, I just thought that that's like a kind of neat link. But yeah, I just really love Butterfly. I think it's a great album, easily her best. And now let's get into my alternate ranking. So 17 is going to be Glitter, 16 equals MC Squared, 15 Charm Bracelet, 14 Memoirs of an Imperfect Angel, 13 is going to be Mariah Carey's Magical Christmas Special. I think that this is just a solid album. I enjoy myself. My favorites on here are going to be Sleigh Ride, Oh Santa, the remix featuring Ariana Grande and Jennifer Hudson, and also Christmas Time is in the Air Again. And then at number 12, we have Merry Christmas to You. And I just love how laid back it is and how well it just flows together. I think that it's definitely overproduced in places like the whistles in Oh Santa, When Christmas Comes. And the last song, I don't even know how to pronounce it. I'll put it on the screen for you guys to read. And my favorites on here are going to be Oh Santa, When Christmas Comes. I love the instrumentation. It reminds me of Subtle Invitation from Charm Bracelet. And lastly, Here Comes Santa Claus. At number 11, we have Me, I Am Mariah, the Elusive Chanteuse. Number 10, we have The Emancipation of Mimi. 9 is going to be Music Box. 8 is going to be Caution. 7 is Emotion. 6 is going to be The Rarities. I think that it was really cool for her to do this. She also has the Tokyo Dome recordings, which are impeccable, so it's just such a gift to have this. And my favorites on here are going to be Here We Go Around Again, Do You Think of Me, and Everything Fades Away. Number 5, we have Merry Christmas. She set the standard for Christmas albums. Legend. I think that this album is just excellent. It's comforting. It's everything you could ask for in a Christmas album. My favorites on here are going to be Silent Night, All I Want for Christmas Is You, and Holy Night. Number 4, we have Rainbow. Number 3, we have Debut. Number 2, I have Daydream. And at number 1, I have Butterfly. And I'm going to put that on the screen right next to me, just so you guys can, you know, look at that and, you know, go through it. But yeah, that is going to be, you know, my little ranking for her albums. Like I said, it was really hard for me to do this, so I'm definitely bound to, you know, change how I feel about it the more that I listen to it. But that's just kind of how I'm feeling now. And this video is definitely one that I've really been excited to make. So in this part, I just wanted to talk about how I feel about Mariah as an artist and kind of wrap it up that, because I didn't talk about it in the original video. So basically, I just wanted to say that I didn't know until a couple weeks ago that she wrote her songs, and I think that's just because I didn't watch any of her interviews. And, you know, watching her interviews and getting to learn more about her that way, and just, you know, kind of breaking down misconceptions in my head that I had about her, it was really interesting to learn about her that way. And then, you know, going back and listening to her discography and learning that she does write her songs, you know, just made me gain a lot of respect for her. And like I said, Outside, I love that song, and just the way that she can, you know, really quantify her feelings lyrically and how great of a lyricist she is really a crowning achievement. And she's one of my favorite lyricists of all time and one of my favorite artists of all time. She might even be like top 2 or maybe like my favorite. Like, I don't know, like I'm still trying to decide because I'm still getting into her discography, but I just love her music so much. She's an impeccable lyricist, unmatched really, and even better vocalist, and it's so rare to find that nowadays. And she just has, you know, so many records to her credit, as she should, and she's just so immensely talented. And I'm just really glad I took the time to, you know, finally get into her discography and learn more about her and everything, because it's been super interesting, and I just love her music so much. And I'm excited to, you know, listen to her more this year, get to learn more about her, you know, read her book and everything. And so I'd highly recommend listening to her if you haven't already. I think that she has a golden discography. Really check her out. Highly recommend. Yeah, that's going to be it for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please give this video a like if you enjoyed. Also, the red subscribe button right down below. Hit the bell next to that, you get a notification to your phone every time I post. Hit the first link down in the description to check out my second channel. I really do need to make a new video there. I'm really planning to make one. I also do have a Twitter and Instagram if you guys want to follow me on there. I'll have some information about how to keep people off of death row, of course. And I'm also going to have everything I referenced in the video about Mariah. So if you guys want to check out anything I talked about, I will have it down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in my next one.